SolarConnect is a venture company that was started only 3 years ago. What we're trying to focus on and our mission is to connect people and energy. And when we say energy, we want to make it sustainable and renewable. So far, we are only able to provide energy, renewable energy to participants in Korea, which is a very highly grid-connected country with a high sovereign credit rating and has quite a lot of liquidity in the market. So we're focused on a sector that is much more economically viable and much easier than the other panelists are trying to tackle. We're hoping to use our expertise in what we're best at and try to expand this model to smaller scale off-grid countries that have less access to commercial equity and debt trenches that will be much more easier for implementation and expansion of such renewable assets. We're seeing a lot of barriers in Korea as well. We expect the same barriers to be in other countries. Taiwan explained very in detail the same difficulties that we're seeing in this market. It may be saying the same thing over, but just try to put that in 3 words. First of all, the problem with financing small-scale assets is that it's small. The financing amount for each project is small. The construction amount is small. Managing and operation of some small assets is very costly. And so the banks do not like the assets. The construction companies, large construction companies, do not like to construct small assets. Operation and maintenance is pretty much non-existent here in Korea as well. Another problem we're also seeing is that there's a problem with quality control of such assets. Utility scale assets, high credit-worthy construction companies that have much experience are bidding into projects. They're very competitive. They're very competent. With small-scale assets, we often have local construction companies that have little to no experience in this field, but they think that construction such assets, since it's small, is an easy project to do. But what we're seeing in the long run is that lack of experience in such field, lack of expertise in this field, makes it hard for the asset to be economically viable and sustainable for a long-term period. Utility scale projects are usually 20 years, up sometimes 30 years projects. Small-scale projects, usually the life term of such projects is much shorter just because the quality is not controlled as strictly as large-scale projects. The third problem that we're seeing in the market is that having a vast portfolio of small assets is very costly and very inefficient to manage. Usually, people are usually the most highly costly factor in developed countries, and having a certain operator access a small site regularly is very costly and is very inefficient. So having a few hundreds or thousands of assets as a portfolio does not add up to having a single large-scale utility project. So these 3 problems are the problems that we're seeing in the market, and these 3 problems are what we're trying to tackle as a venture company. SolarConnect is an online business platform similar to Root Energy. The reason we want to stay online and we want to be IT automated and have a high presence in IT and engineering field is that we believe that for small-scale assets to be economically viable, we have to lower the cost, we have to aggregate the assets to tackle the 3 problems that we're seeing in the market. So our team has a very high strength in investment and finance, and we also have a very strong team in IT and engineering. And combined, we're trying to aggregate assets so that they can have access to lower costs of EPC prices, lower price of equipment, more standardized methods of constructing certain assets so that it will be more sustainable in the long term. we are trying to make more automated IT-assisted operation and maintenance methods so that the assets can be unmanned and still monitored in a sense where it is controlled efficiently. And we're also trying to have a high presence in the engineering field so that although we cannot do all the construction in O&M ourselves, we'll have local partners throughout the country and perhaps throughout globally that we have to train and keep up to standards so that they can follow a certain standard manual of some sort and have some IT-assisted tools so that they can manage the project for its project life in an efficient way.